Oh, Kotetsujo, what are you doing to me? Kotetsujo no Kabaneri is an anime I really wanna like, but it's not easy. The first season of this anime was not really the best. It had some awesome moments. Well, in fact, it had many awesome moments, but as a whole, it just didn't work as well. At least, that is what I thought when it originally came out. Recently, I have rewatched it, and to be honest, it went from the 6 out of 10 I gave it originally, to at least 7 out of 10. And that is something. Yup, my opinion hasn't changed much since it came out. You see, the problem about this anime is that the first season came out when Shingeki no Kyojin hype was still really strong, and thus, there was just no way for this little fella to avoid being compared to Attack on Titan. After all, there are people who thought that Kabane will be as big as Titans in Shingeki. Yeah, no, they are not. That would be a little too much, don't you think? In many people's eyes, this was just Attack on Titan Season 1.5. But the problem is that Kabaneri is just not Shingeki. Yes, it is made by the same studio. Yes, there are brainless monsters eating humans. And yes again, people are hiding behind big walls. But at its core, these two shows are completely different. Attack on Titan was for the whole first 2 seasons based mostly around mysteries that you are trying to solve together with the main characters. For example, what is in the basement? Who are the Colossal and Armored Titans? Where did they come from? How were the walls built, etc. Meanwhile, Kabaneri had and has nothing like this. Of course, there is some world building, and throughout the series the main characters discover numerous secrets about the world and Kabane itself, but there is no real sense of mystery at all. It is more like, we didn't know this few seconds ago. There is no sense of mystery, and most of the big reveals happen, well, because they just happen, no build up. And this leads me to the biggest problem with this anime. In Kotetsujo, things just happen. There is usually no big build up, no preparations to the big events, and the anime as well just feels like there is no real background to anything. The world isn't really explained, which to be honest, the world of Attack on Titan is also not explained much throughout the first 2.5 seasons. But the world of Shingeki is believable and simple enough to feel real. Meanwhile, the world of Kotetsujo is more complicated and less realistic. For example, what exactly is the political system here? How many cities there are? How many trains there are? These are the questions that are never answered throughout the series. Meanwhile, Shingeki did a great job explaining and showing the most important stuff in the first few episodes. And now, I'm not talking only about the potential mysteries, but also about the threat in the series. One wise man once said,
In Kotetsujo, things just happen.
And this problem unfortunately persists even throughout the Battle of Unato, which, if you don't know, is the third movie. You see, the first season was actually smashed into 2 movies. And then the third movie was made as a continuation to the story. And that is what I want to focus most on in this video. So, is this movie good? Yes, it kinda is. But there is the potential for this movie to be really good. But the potential was just wasted. This is the type of movie that would work well. If there was a build-up to it and a sequel to it. But there is nothing like this. Yes, there is the first season of the anime, but the first season and Battle of Unato are very disconnected. The tone is kinda different, which in many ways is a good thing, and a bad thing at the same time. It just feels like the movie starts at the middle of the story and ends at the middle of the story. For example, remember this guy? At the end of the first season, he and his men joined the Kotetsujo, and at that moment I was really hyped up for his interactions with the main cast, and what he will add to the story. After all, he was one of the bad guys, and was looking forward to killing the main characters. So there will definitely be an interesting chemistry in the Kotetsujo now, right? No, not at all. They did exactly what I was afraid of. This guy was not even mentioned in the third movie. So what was even the point of him joining the good guys? Just to show how naive the princess is? Talking about wasted potential. The next thing that really bothered me was the Yunato itself, aka the city where the Wolf Herd movie was placed. The problem with this is that Yunato is a completely new location we never heard of, and the main characters have no connection to it. It is just some random place that exists just for the sake of existing. Just how much would this movie be better if the movie was located in a city that we already know of? In a city that main characters have some connection to? That way, people watching this movie could feel some connection to the place, at least some sympathy. Instead, it is just some soulless city that we just learned exists. I mean, again, don't take me wrong, I kinda like the city and the whole story behind the leader of the city, but it just, at the end, it fall flat. Because if there ever is a 4th movie or a 2nd season, I'm pretty sure that this city will just be forgotten. It will not even be mentioned. And at the end, what was it for? Remember when Ikoma promised that he will turn Mumei back to a human? Remember? I remember! The movie really tried to push this part of the story as much as possible, which I find it really weird. It has almost nothing to do with the story of this movie. So this was either a really stupid clue that there will be more movies or seasons for this show, or it was just a really weird flex. It is just like when you are discussing the newest episode of your favorite anime with a friend, but there is that one awkward guy third wheeling and non-stop mentioning his hemorrhoids problem. Nobody cares, Jim, okay? Nobody cares! And don't even let me start on the biggest problem of this whole franchise. The things just happen syndrome. I mentioned earlier. Basically, every time something bad happens, it is a consequence. It is a consequence of someone doing something stupid. Oh, the main protagonist of this anime, the guy who killed more Kabaneri than most of the people there, finds some weird patterns and suggests that there might be some tunnel or something else that enemies use as a flank road. And so he comes up with an idea that maybe they should go investigate it before they start the siege on the castle. Because, you know, it would suck if your army got ambushed from behind while fully charging forward. But no, of course the army generals declined this and call him an idiot. Because after all, this is war, and whoever needed to play it smart and have some tactics in war. Right? But do not be always negative. Let's mention some of the good things about this movie, because there definitely were some. The animation, for example, is stunning. Seriously, this movie just looks amazing. The sound design is also pretty great, and overall the story is good. Mostly the backstory of main antagonist is kinda interesting and even touching. The main characters are still there, same as always. Suzuki is still the best waifu. And in English dubbing, Kurusu still sounds like he is voiced by the same guy who voiced John Swanson and Crank, who just a few months ago rated my penis 8.5 out of 10. Once you hear it, you just cannot unhear it.
Perfect length. A nice 80-degree angle. Could trim the hairs a bit, but we'll work on it.
So yeah, if you enjoyed the first season, there is no reason not to watch Battle of Yunato. If you didn't like the first season, but have nothing to watch, come on, just try it. It might not be as bad as you could expect. Let's just hope that this movie is not the last time we see this franchise. And let's just hope that this franchise gets over its problems. Yup.